Well, thanks for taking some time to watch this video. Josh and I are going to tag team this conversation together, and we felt like this was a good way to get some information out about an important step that Lee Scott is going to be taking over these next 6 months. As you probably know, Lee Scott is now 3.5 years old, and typically in a multi-site scenario at the 3-year mark, you need to start developing a solid plan toward the future for that site. And so we've been doing that. In fact, our executive team decided to create a subcommittee to put together a plan forward, kind of a next step process for Lee Scott. That included both Hamilton Road leaders and Lee Scott leaders. A couple of things came out of this. The first one is that we discovered kind of what we already knew, but that Lee Scott is a very healthy site. There are a lot of really good things going on there in its short life. Not the least of which is that Josh is a tremendous leader. He's a great preacher and has done a phenomenal job of organizing ministry there and just keeping this moving for these last 3 years. And he has a great lead team that are with him that are also very motivated and doing a great job providing leadership. The people there are serving, and there's a very strong core of folks who are deeply invested in what's happening at Lee Scott. The finances are very strong, and there's just a very strong independent spirit that has developed in a culture there at Lee Scott that's been very, very good. So in looking at all of that, we discovered that really the next natural best step for Lee Scott was to become its own church, to become a church plant of Cornerstone. And we feel like that was the best way to go for the future, an opportunity for multiplication to happen in the ultimate sense, and for God to do something really beautiful through 2 churches that would eventually be working together and partner to do ministry. And so that's an important step that we've been praying about over these last 6 months. And as we've asked God about this, He's just opened one door after another to help us get to this point. And so we know that there are several questions that are related to this, and we want to go ahead and answer those now.
We really see this being a timeline of about 6 months where we'll go through a transition that will take place that will really kind of culminate next January of 2016. And so what that means for right now is we're beginning to take some initial steps kind of behind the scenes, administration kind of things that we need to put in place, a lot of processes. As we move through the fall, we're going to be doing some other work with our now Lee Scott leadership team, kind of expanding that into a more full executive team, and also doing some work with that team to determine what is the vision that we want to articulate in this new church plant, and the mission and the values and those kind of things that will be really important, that will drive so much of what we do. As we finish this year, kind of near the end of these 6 months, we'll be able to share with everyone what a name will be for this new church. And also we'll see some more public things happening, like a website, other things like that. But then when we turn the new year in January of 2016, that's when we will begin operating as this new church. This is a really big question that we spent a lot of time as a team looking at. It's a very important one. And so the way we handled this was to first look at the giving that was happening at Lee Scott. So when we looked at how we finished 2014, what we found was that was the first year that Lee Scott as a site was self-sustainable. Then we began to build a budget for the next year, for 2016, in a scenario of if this were a church plant operating independently. And what we found was that this new church plant could indeed operate under that same giving amount that we saw happen in 2014. We also were looking closely at this year's giving and really seeing that we were already outpacing the giving that we saw from 2014. And so those things all together gave us a sign that we felt like that we were in a healthy place to move forward. Even with that as well, still looking at the implications at Hamilton Road and seeing some good healthy signs that are happening right now with giving. And so all those things together really helped us see that really a door was opening and that we're poised and ready to make a move. We're prepared financially to do this. We've really known in the last year that we've needed to take a next step with this. We've been in conversations with Pat Bethay and Jenny Hand about developing a youth ministry that is specific for Lee Scott. So we kind of already knew that's a next step that needed to happen regardless of if we were to transition into a church plant or remain as a multi-site. So now that we are taking this step, it is a good time to begin to take that step towards our own youth ministry. So a couple of quick things with it. It's really going to be more of a small group based ministry than one that gathers in a central location like what we see at Hamilton Road. We're not going to go back and gather again on Sunday nights at Lee Scott. The other thing is the stages that it's going to happen in is that we're going to begin this fall in August with a small group that is just for our 6th graders as they're transitioning into this, to being youth, into this youth ministry. And then as we go through the fall, we're going to be developing other leaders to lead small groups with the rest of our junior high and senior high students.
I know that some people may use that language because of experiences that they've had watching churches go through a split where a leader or a group is unhappy about something going on in the church and they go out and start a new church down the road or something like that. But this is nothing like that. 6 months ago at the end of last year when Josh came and was talking to me about this idea, I was not shocked by it or overwhelmed by the thought of Lee Scott becoming their own church. And we made a decision right then to pray together about this and to talk about it and vision together and just see where the Lord leads us in this thought process. And so that's what we've been doing together over these last several months. So this is a great thing. This is a great opportunity, not just for Cornerstone, but for this community, and an opportunity to watch churches do something unique together. And so I hope that you will pray about this transition over the next several months as we unfold this, and we'll communicate more with you about what's going on and keep you updated. So if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts or comments about this, please let Josh and I know. We'd be glad to meet and talk with you about that.